What is up, fishing world? Trevor Wagner coming back at you again. It's Tackle Tip Tuesday. Time to drop some of that knowledge on you guys that I've accumulated over my years. So today, as you can tell from the title, we're talking about changing hooks. And so I have a tournament coming up next week, kind of a big national tournament, heading to Alabama, get my fish on. Before I go, I've been inspecting all of my baits, looking at everything. And I knew this guy I was going to have to change some hooks. So we're going to talk about changing hooks and go from there. So first off, this is one of my favorite baits. I know some of you guys are like, oh, Megabass, it's overrated. Dude, this little Megabass Pop Max right here, this thing has caught me some fish. You can see all the rash that's on it. So we're going to be changing the hooks on this guy, getting it ready to head down to Alabama. I'm going to show you one of the reasons I need to change the hooks. We're going to take a look right back there. Look at that guy. That's right. That's what you call a bent out hook. So definitely got to change the hook on that. And then when I was going and checking a lot of my baits, I noticed that I was getting rust on some of these baits. So I need to go make sure that I get them changed out. And I checked all the other ones. And I've done all of that already. So the split rings on here are starting to look a little rusty, so I'm going to go ahead and change those as well. Because whenever you're going to change your hooks, one thing I've learned is really inspect those split rings. I have a whole case here on the back side of this case, and I have a ton of split rings that I keep with me at all times because, you know, not a lot of people talk about split rings, but the problem is split rings bend out, split rings get rust, and they can fail. So you always want to make sure when you're checking your hooks, you're also checking your split rings. And these are pretty bad, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to replace the hooks, we're going to replace the split rings, and we're going to put some new hardware on this guy to get it ready to go. So one of the things, whenever you're replacing your split rings or anything like that, you need a good pair of split ring pliers. And this is an El Cheapo pair. I got this off of Amazon, called Strike Bait, not even a name brand thing that's out there, but I've had these for quite some time. And they're one of my favorite split ring pliers. As you can see, they got the little split ringy guy right there on the top. You can see it's got the little hooky guy right here to really get in that split ring, split it apart, and get it off the bait. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy off. And yes, you can tell these go on my yak. I have my tether to it, so these are attached on my yak, so I make sure that it's there. Sorry about the clacking noise. That's kind of what it is coming off. So find me a good little point in there where I'm going to take this guy off. And I never stab myself more than when I'm changing treble hooks. Just so you guys know, I tend to get my fingers every once in a while when I'm changing these out. So again, real quick and easy. This bad one's gone, split ring's gone, that's all going in the trash. And then on the front hook, I noticed when I was looking at the front hook, the hook points themselves are really good. I don't have any rust or any problems with the hooks. But I noticed back here down the shaft, as I got closer to the eye, and the split ring, there was a little rust that's starting to form on these guys. And what you don't want to happen is you hook up, because I'm going to be fishing in Gunnersville, and you don't want to hook up to, possible PB, giant bass in the middle of a tournament, and as you're going, your hook breaks off. You're trying to dig them out. If you've never been there, dig them out of that grass. And so it's better to change them out, pay the money to get some split rings. They don't cost much. And just better safe than sorry, I always say. So we're going to go ahead, take this guy off. And again, it's that easy, guys. It's very, very simple. And then I'm just kind of inspecting the eyelets on both of these guys, because again, there's a little rust on the hook and the other ones, so I just want to make sure that these are still good to go, which on this bait, they are good to go. So now it's time to put the split rings and the hooks back on these guys. So I really do like the feather treble on the back of most of my poppers and also my walking baits. So again, I have a feathered treble. Now the one I'm using, the camera might not show it, but it's a white feather, and then it's got some chartreuse tinsel throughout it as well. Kind of give it a little bit of flash as it's on there. And then of course I just have my standard hook to go on the bottom, so that'll be the belly treble and the tail treble. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to put my split rings on. I got brand new split rings. For me, I typically put my split rings on first, and then I put my hooks on to the split rings after they're already on. I don't know how everybody else does it. That's just what I do. Everybody has their own method, their own things that they like to do, but all right, that treble's on. Let's get this split ring on. So again, it's totally up to you individually. I know some people put the split rings on the hooks before they put them on the bait. It's just whatever floats your boat, as they used to say. So whatever one you find easier, go ahead and do that. This is usually the part where I stab myself a few times, because the hooks I use are usually pretty sharp. So these feather ones I'm using, these are actually these are Berkeley Fusion hooks, which I found to be really good. That's what I use when I paint my baits. These are the same ones I use when I put on my poppers, and I typically do not have an issue with those. Make sure that it sits good, rides good. Alright, everything looks good on the back part. So we are good to go there. And now for the belly treble. Now, these ones are actually Gamakatsu, so don't ask me why I get different ones. I just did. But these are the Gamakatsu treble hooks that I'm putting on the belly. I guess the Berkeley Fusion ones I got because they were on sale with the feathers on the back, so just kind of stuck with those. This one is Beings of the Stubborn. And it's interesting, if you guys have never recorded your videos before when you're doing stuff, it tends to happen where it's like, oh yeah, this is usually typically really easy. And then you do it on camera and you're like, man, I look like a fool. Alright, one of the things I always make sure of when I put this back treble on, that I want to make sure that it rides up when it's flat against the belly. These two just go flat, just like that. So it's on really good. Everything looks good. It is ready for me to tie on and go catch some bass. Alright guys, that's really the tip for the day. Make sure that you're inspecting your hardware. You should be inspecting it before you go out on every trip, but especially before a tournament. Make sure you go through your gear, check your hooks, make sure that they're still sharp, they're not bent out, make sure there's no rust on them. Check your split rings, make sure your split rings are still good, they're not being bent out, and obviously you really want to check for rust. Now I know the reason that these probably got a little rusty is when I took them out of the box, I kind of threw them in a box that didn't have one of the moisture wicking packs in it, which most of my bait boxes have in it, and it was kind of thrown into a different box that didn't have that, and there was some moisture in there. Pretty much the whole box got rained on because it was out in the rain when I was fishing one time. So I kind of knew a lot of the baits in that box I was going to end up losing. I didn't open it up and dry it out the way I should have. But again, mistakes are made and then you have to fix them. So fixed it all up. We are good to go. All my hardware is ready. and all of my baits are packed up, ready to go. So, all right, guys, thank you guys for watching. I hope that it helps you out a little bit, at least trying to make sure that you inspect your baits before you get out on the water. Because again, the worst thing you can do is have a rusted hook, rusted split ring. You hook into a really, really good fish and it breaks off, and then you bring it in and you realize it was your own mistake that you could have fixed with just 5 minutes, even less, of just changing out your hooks, changing your split rings, and getting them ready to go. All right, guys. Again, thank you for watching. Comment down below. Do you change out your hooks when you first get a new bait, or are you one of those that, like me, I test it to see how good the hooks are before I make that change? So let me know down below how often you change your split rings. How often do you change your treble hooks on your baits? All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great week. And for those of you that are watching, I hope I catch you on Faith Focus Friday this week. And if not, I'll catch you next week on Tackle Tip Tuesday. Have a wonderful one, guys. And we'll see you next week.